Hello you, welcome back to Geekism. We're here in Planet Coaster. It's a Let's Build. We're going to crack on with our log flume, but before we do, we have a couple of names to add into our Hall of Patrons. We're going to zoom in here to get my screen up to make sure I spell them right. There we go. We have two new names to add. I've already added you in here. We have a Knight, Standing Guard and a Jester. Nothing personal, by the way, folks. These are completely random when we pick them. So let's go into here. We need to add a couple of names. I'm hoping we can fit them on. They're kind of long names. We've got here is SDD. Here we have Edward Martin. I hope that fits okay. Yeah, that just about looks good. And over here, we're going to add in. This one definitely won't fit, so I'm going to have to miss out the middle name. The full name is Michael Daniel Smith. But we're not going to be able to fit all that in, so we'll just put Michael Smith. There we go. You guys have been added into the Hall of Patrons. Thank you very much. If you're interested in getting your name on here and also supporting the channel, you can check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/geekism. Anyway, let's get on with this week's build. So, alright, okay, so the thumbnail for this video is the pirate battle, and the video is called Pirate Battle, and quite honestly I've used that because it made the most interesting thumbnail, but actually quite a bit happens in this video. It's been a little while since I've really been able to sit down and play Planet Coaster properly, so I kind of jump all over the place, and I've got loads of ideas that have been bubbling up for ages. First thing I did, you'll see there, was boxing this area. I only showed a few seconds of it because it's very boring footage. That actually took me about 6 hours to do properly, to get the whole area dark enough so that this is a dark ride even during the daytime. Some areas unfortunately just doesn't work. In the jail that we built originally, it's just not far enough underground, but luckily this main area here with the city in, a little bit at the top of this first hill that we don't decorate in this episode, we'll probably do that at a later date, and the main area with the pirate battle in as well, that's all dark. So apologies if the footage is a little tricky to follow, but like I say, it's, you know, we're in the dark. What I did do in the main area that we're going to cut to in a moment is light the place up with loads of floodlights so I could really see what was going on, and then once all the sort of scenery was in place, I got rid of those and then went back over and did all the ambient lighting and permanent lighting that we wanted actually on the ride. So a little bit of wall space here that was lit up as the trees were, so I thought we might as well make it a little bit of a thing. So we have a little sign here saying Pirate Cove, enter if you dare, sort of, you know, standard sort of stuff. Really happy with how this is all turned out, to be honest with you. It is going to need one more episode finishing it off, but this video comes out on Monday. Tomorrow is the 1.2 update, and obviously I'm going to really want to try out some of the new content with that. So what I'm actually going to do is put this log flume on hold for a couple of weeks, or for a week or so. Just want to have a play with some of the newer stuff, and then we'll come back and finish it off. The new stuff we are going to be doing in this park, in this pirate area in fact, but we're just going to be using some of the new features. I really want to do pirate go-karts. I don't know why, but I think that'll look ace. We now have dueling coasters, and I really want to do a dueling hybrid coaster basically on top of this ride. That sort of big open space above where the log flume is what I want to do there. So anyway, here is sort of like the huge major set piece. Can't really do much with this, unfortunately. The water really doesn't work nicely with darkness. I wanted loads of like water splashes coming up, and you'll see there's a ship that's half underground, and I do put some water splashes in its place to make it look like it's bubbling under, but unfortunately when it's dark you just can't see it. All the water goes black, and it doesn't look great, but I'm kind of happy with how this area looks, even if it does look a little empty perhaps. You'll see once I've finished up lighting it. Here he is. It's only took us about 20 episodes to get there, but finally we have the KRAKEN on a ride. We're going to use him here at the end of this, a bit of a sort of shock value, a sort of scared jump scare type thing. So we get rid of all the lights now. We can start working on some proper lighting, because one of the things we want to do is, as well as him coming out, I want a strobe light to going on him there. You'll see we jumped outside there just to grab the trigger, because this is going to be triggerable. I want him to pop up. All the other things that are going on here, the explosions and the cannons, they're just on a loop, they're constantly going. But this guy, I want to make sure that he's coming out right on top of you as you start making your way up the final major lift hill. So it takes me a little while to figure it out here. We've got a light on the other side of him. Here all I'm doing is adding on the light to go off every 0.2 of a second, and it goes off for half a second, so it basically gives a strobe effect. You can't really see it on here because the footage is so fast, but you will see it later on when we have a ride through it. So it's just a case of going around and lighting it all up. I wanted it to be really mellow lighting. I want this place to look dark, you know. I really want it to be dark and dingy, very much like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. If you ever go on that, a lot of it is quite tough to see. It's really dark, really grimy, and that's really wanted to go for. And also, I've seen this on a few different sort of POVs of coasters now, mostly space coasters, but I think it works really well. There's a technique to make a really nice starry sky, so I'm going to go back to that in a moment. But I have finally found one thing I really hate doing in Planet Coaster, and that is building underground. It's so infuriating. You can't see what you're doing. It's really tricky to get the camera where you want it to be. It's really hard to light the place up. So you'll notice here that every time I do something underground, I'll come back out and just find something else to do for a little while before I get too hideously annoyed. So here what we're doing, I thought it'd be quite nice. There's a bit of an open area before the big splash here that we're not really using for anything, so I thought it might be quite cool to make a bit of a splash zone feature that people can go up and have photos taken. They can take photos of their friends on the ride, and also, you know, the kiddies can get splashed with the water. I doubt any actual punters are going to come up here due to their sort of really good pathing. They're never going to walk up here because there's nothing there for them to find. It would be great in the future if Planet Coaster, if the Frontier developers could create like a percentage chance of some guests just wanting to have a wander around. You know, that'd be really, really nice. So, you know, just a small amount, like a 5% or something, for every now and again they'll break pathing, they'll break AI, and they'll literally just have a little wander around, and they'll go places purely for the fact that it's nice to look at. That'd be really, really great. But for now anyway, this is going to be quite a quiet path, but I still wanted to make it look pretty good. So we have a huge sign here, splash zone, you will get wet, and it's just a nice little area just to cap off this little space here. Still got to figure out something around the front of it. I put that wooden fencing up there. Probably will end up taking that all the way around, but at the moment this is unfinished. There's a lot of things unfinished here, sort of ideas that I've had bubbling in my head for ages. I just wanted to get down into the game, and then it'll need another pass to finish it all off. But the other thing I really want to do is sort of box off the main area that this ride is taking up, because I want to be able to see what sort of space our go-karts are going to have. Because I do want to do pirate go-karts next week, or even later this week maybe, if I can get the time to play. And they're pretty much going to be in the main area here, sort of in between this and the pirate ship, pretty much taking up that whole area. So I really wanted to sort of box this off and give myself the space it needed. So we start work on the station and the queue building. It doesn't get finished internally. We've got to come back and do the interior, lay out the path there to work with later on. But I know there are new fences, no collision. We can turn off collision. So I think all those things are going to help us really sort of make this building look special. So although I do a little bit of work here, I'll be doing the rest of this after the 1.2 update. I've noticed a lot of Planet Coaster players have sort of eased up their content recently, and I have a feeling it's because 1.2 is on the way, and you kind of don't want to do stuff when you know there's going to be new features that you think will make you be able to do a better job of it. You notice to put a skull above the archway as you go in, then that is a direct sort of homage back to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. There's a skull there who's actually chatting to you, telling you, you know, to be wary and there be pirates ahead and all that sort of stuff. So that's sort of my little nod to the original ride. Although this is nowhere not meant to be a what's the word? A copy? What's the word I'm trying to think of? I don't know, a copy of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, but it's heavily influenced by it, especially the front entrance here with this sort of large stucco tower. Is again very similar to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Disney. Probably could go back over this with a little bit more detail. I've purposefully left the front of this building a little bit plain because we need to figure out a name for this ride, and once we figured out the name for it, we need to figure out a signage system for it as well. And you know, you guys all know that I love you people. What do you mean you people? I love you folks to name the rides, because I always think you do a better job than me anyway. So I've purposefully left this area a little plain so that we can go back over and create a really nice looking sign with the ride's name on. So I would love you to name it, please. ready for our next episode when we finish it off. Or like I say, I think we'll have a little break from this just while we have a little mess around with some of the 1.2 features, but we are going to come back and finish this off. So any suggestions for the name? I don't want it to be Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't want it to have anything to do with geekism either. I want it to just have its own sort of really good name that fits a sort of pirate battle, pirate town, log flume theme. So have a little think, see what you can come up with. The one I like the best, or the one that gets the most likes, or just just in general, whichever one seems to be the most preferred option. That's what we'll call it. But think about things like Tortuga, think about the Kraken, think about maybe some famous pirates or something like that. Please don't just comment Geekism Pirate Ride. I know if a couple of people do that sort of thing, try and come up with something really creative if you can. I'm sure you'll 100% come up with anything better than I can think of anyway, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think we should call this pirate water ride. Breaking up the wall here with a bit of a outpost building. Again, it's just a case of using a lot of the stucco pieces, trying to use them in different ways than we've used them before. These awesome looking pieces with canvas on top of them. Just to sort of break up the large massive wall there and give something to look at while people are queuing up. We have a little mess with some of the terrain tools there as well. That's again no way finished. We'll come back and finish that all off with some foliage and other things once we've finished out the name and sort of boxed off the rest of the building. Just raising everything up here so we can do a roof. Again, this isn't finished either. Looks like I actually go back to that and do it another time. But the roof piece isn't finished either. We'll probably end up doing a bit of variation to the roof, maybe having another little building on top of that, just to sort of give the building a little bit of height, a little bit of variation. But I did want the large sort of warehouse style box at the back that no guests are going to see. Although I was quite aware that if we do end up putting coasters up there, they are going to probably be able to see the top of this to some extent at least. So we probably will have to go. You see here, I just sort of box it in with some of the stucco. But at some point, we are going to have to go back in and fix that. Here we are building out the sky, just using one of the sci-fi lights and sort of randomly placing them around. I genuinely think this looks amazing. One of the best things I've done, and it's literally putting lights on a wall, but I think it turned out so good. Really great thing. Like I say, I've seen a lot of people do it in different sort of sci-fi builds, like indoor sci-fi coasters, and when it's meant to be going through space. I thought, you know what, I think that'll still work really well here as well. Put some foliage here to kind of break up the entrance of this lift tunnel there, but honestly, I don't think I'm too happy with it. I think instead what I might do is create a shipwreck around it, so it looks like the Kraken has ripped a ship apart and you're going into the ship. I do a little bit of detailing on the lift hill here, but again, I think I'm going to have to go back over this, probably carve a little bit of the wall away, carve a little bit of the ground away, make it a little bit taller so we can do a little bit more detail here, because you're very limited. I know we can turn the collision off, but I don't want people's heads going through stuff. I want it to look relatively realistic, so I think I'm going to have to go back over here, and also this tunnel as well. This one, although this one isn't quite as bad, this one seems to be a little bit raised up, but that last one I definitely think we're going to have to go back and do a little bit of work around there. Okay, we're coming back out then, because like I say, I've been underground for a little while and I don't like being under there too long, start getting really infuriated. So I come and do a little bit of work on this path here. Silverette did a fantastic video on how to sort of fill out plaza areas and use paths and the Z key to sort of create these like wider paths with little gaps in the middle. I thought it would look really great, and I thought it would work really well for this area as well. So I've gone back over, redone the path, the whole path right the way from the dock all the way up to the log flume, and then the gaps we've ended up with in the middle. I kept them nice and thin to have these sort of palm leaves and banana leaves really sort of overflowing the fencing panel there. I know we're getting more fences, but I really love this pirate fence. I think it's one of the better pieces in the game, especially one of the better pirate pieces. We go back over with some trash cans and some benches that will be broken up in the new expansion if our punters aren't happy with the park. Hopefully they will be. And we go over and put some P lighting in. P lighting is a term used by theme park enthusiasts for permanent lighting, basically lighting that's always there, really. So street lights, lamps, that sort of thing. I did originally try and just put some spotlights on there, but I felt those actually gave a bit of a nicer look to them. So again, a bit more work here. That whole space there above the skull there is going to be for the name of the ride. You know, so I'm going to leave that blank for now, but I did feel like the building could do with a little bit more detail, so we go over with some more of the stucco pieces, stucco windows, and some other bits and bobs just to fill it all out. And then we've got that cool fountain on the right there. Needed something on the left for people who were leaving the ride, so we sort of make a little pirate courtyard with a well and other goodies as well. Here, just sort of coming off the gap there. Obviously we haven't really got many fence pieces at the moment, so using a couple of the tropical stones. I think they look great, sort of jutted out the ground anyway. Consider an archway there, but I realised it would probably cover up the lights, the sign too much, so we don't use that. Instead, they have these two really great whalebone arches, so we use both of those, one with the light to show the entrance, and then another one just with the sign saying exit only. I think that turned out really quite nicely, but I might go back and do a bit more detail on those later on if I can think of something that will fit nicely there. Okay, so just sort of boxing off this area. To the left of this ride, there may well be a flat ride. I haven't decided yet. We can squeeze maybe a whirly rig in there. I also think the Rocktopus is probably a good ride for the pirate area, and perhaps even one of the newer ones as well. Now we've got no collision, we could do a lot of work with the barrels and make them really look piratey. So there you go, there's the entrance of the ride. Like I say, not quite finished yet. We need a name for it, so we can put a big sign up there with the name of it. So please, any suggestions, pop them down in the comments below. And there it is from the other angle. You can see the splash zone there. Again, that's not finished off. We'll finish off boxing that off with a bit more decoration next time. I'm sure you agree. I think that looks pretty cool there with the splash coming up. Kids can go there and get themselves, you know, drenched and dry off in the beautiful, I was going to say tropico heat then, the beautiful Planco heat. So here we are coming down the big, you'll see there, look, all the splash sort of looks black, but I think those stars look really, really good. Maybe need a little bit more work with the lighting, perhaps it is a little bit too dark. Maybe some more explosions going off in the water or something, just to kind of lighten the place up a little bit. But overall I think it's turned out really well. There's a tentacle there, what could that be attached to? And then as we come a little bit further around, we get the Kraken in all his glory, or her glory, who knows. But yeah, these trees, they're a little bit out of place. I do think I'm going to go back and build that into a shipwreck that it looks like we're entering as we make our way up the final lift hill. Finally, we'll finish off with a overall shot, just so you can see where the new stuff's fitted. That big area in the middle, that's going to be what we fill with our go-karts. So really looking forward to doing that in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give us a like. It really does help out the channel. And if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe. Any thoughts, queries, or suggestions, pop them down in the comments. And if you fancy a chat, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at JohnTSparrow. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.